So today's movie that you don't hate. Okay, so guys, we had a chance to watch the recently released to movie theaters and then also appearing on Netflix movie Army of the Dead, which is a heist film and a zombie film. But we both noticed after we got through watching it, looking at people's reviews and people's thoughts about how they felt about the movie, there was a lot of hate that kind of went on with that film. So instead of doing a normal review, which we were thinking about doing at first, I figured it'd be better if we kind of defended the film and why you don't hate Army of the Dead. So if this is the first time you've actually ever seen You Don't Hate, we actually take a film and we break it down into multiple categories. First category is plot. Second category is acting in the film, action scenes, the directing, and we kind of break down the characters of the film overall. We add a point total to each one of those categories, whether we like or we don't like, and we sum them at the end. And if we have more likes than dislikes, you don't really hate this film.
Okay.
All right.
The reason why I'm paying attention is because Manny's the one that usually.
Yeah, Manny's the normally one that does this video. We got Carla to sit in on this one because she actually did get to see Army of the Dead, and I'm not sure if Manny's got a chance to see it as of yet. We both have strong feelings on this film, so this will be a great one to try to defend. So that's going to bring us to our first category, which is the plot. Now, do you remember the plot of this film?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so go ahead and break it down for me then.
Okay, so basically you have this guy that is hiring people to go to a place, in this case Vegas, that is closed down because herd of zombies got into, and it's all closed down, and he wants a crew to go into his casino to take a bunch of money that he has there. And they need to do it in certain amount of time because the government is going to bomb the whole place in order to destroy the zombies that are already there.
Okay.
So basically.
That's a great summarization of the plot. You do this way better than I do it when I do it. I'm like grabbing for straws as far as what is this movie really about. But as an overall premise to a film, how did you feel about the plot?
I mean,
do you like it or did you dislike it?
To be honest, I did like it.
Okay, you did like it.
I think that it's a good combination, like you said it at first, between the heist and the zombies. For some reason, still zombies don't go out of fashion. That is really something that caught everybody's attention and is really trendy. So I can understand like the whole thing, and they need to do something different. Not only like this whole like the world got into this virus and everybody's a zombie now.
Right. We've seen The Walking Dead and all its spin-off seasons, right?
Every single movie or recently related to that, it's like that's basically the premise. It's just like this virus got in and everybody's like fucked and that's it. But in this case, it's not necessarily focused on the virus. Is the fact that we need to take this money out of the vault.
Okay, I like that because those are exactly the same way I feel. I like the heist aspect of it. I like that they were doing something different with zombies. Like like I just said, we all watched 10 seasons of Walking Dead and it's 3 spin-off shows, and we've seen all of the Dawn of the Deads and the George Romero stuff. Like this was something completely different. So I really like it. So what we do right here is I'm gonna go here. We're gonna go ahead and give it a like. There's a sound effect. There's a graphic and everything that pops up. All right, because we behind the scenes stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a like. So right now this film is on the right path. It's like we got 1 like to 0 dislikes. So that's gonna bring us to our next category. Our next category is gonna be acting. And what we're looking at is the overall how people, how the dialogue went back and forth between the characters, things that they said, how they played off each other. How did you feel about the overall acting? Because this is kind of an ensemble film. It's got a lot of characters in play here. How did you feel about the back and forth with the dialogue and, like I said, how they played off of each other?
I like it. I like the fact that, and it's something that has happened in recently movies. They have a really diverse cast on it. They have like the Mexican girl and the Latina that we don't know exactly where is it from, but yeah, it was there. We have the big like macho guy, the leader of the crew.
Right, yeah.
They have the black guy.
Yeah,
They have
it was basically stereotype galore in this film.
They have like they have like the So I like that. I think that was really. They have the super white guy, the one that like fucks them up at the end. Yeah, he has like the whole thing.
So let's take a look at some of those interactions, because you were talking about all the team in a whole, or individual stereotypes that they were actually playing, but how they played off when you have like the dynamic between Dave Bautista's character, which was I wrote it down here because I'm not good with names, Scott Ward,
Scott.
and his interactions with his daughter. How do you feel like, how did they play off with each other?
I like it. There were certain things that they were really predictable in terms of their like interactions at some point, and you can see how the storyline was going to happen. But in terms of like how they portray their roles, I mean, it's basically, for example, for him, the main character, like he's like this big guy that he's going to be like the boss, and he has this struggle with his daughter. He has to show up like for her, and he's trying to compensate the situation. So even though that, I mean, from my point of view, it was going to be really predictable, I like his acting. I think that for the type of the movie that it's comedy / terror / thriller action, it's not something that you need like this Robert De Niro to come here.
No, it's not. It's not one of those films.
Yeah, so I think that for that, I mean, even the new people that I saw there, or at least I haven't seen in any other movie.
There were a lot of smaller actors that had not really been in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two things that you may have seen as kind of side characters. So, I mean, in my opinion, as far as they went, I thought the interactions were kind of brief. I think the only one that we really had a lot of interaction were between Dieter and Vanderoff. They had a lot of back and forth, but I love them together, and we'll get more of them in characters. But going back to Bautista, I think this is one of his better acting jobs, because in the early days of him doing Guardians of the Galaxy, he was very wooden, very stiff, and in the lines, they had to keep it short in what he said, so that way you didn't really realize his weaknesses and how he delivered lines.
At some point he looked like dumb.
Yeah. So I think in this one, because he's had quite a few films leading up to this one, and I think the sequel to Blade Runner is probably when we started to get more of an actor out of him. And I think this was another one where he got to lead a film. I think he did a great job for what he had. Like you said, they kept it pretty simple. Most of the interactions most of the dialogue he had was with his daughter. So I think he did a great job with that. So for me, I'd give it a like.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
I have to say that, I mean, he did a good job. I think that he's trying to get away from Guardians of the Galaxy, because I heard that was the next movie is going to be his last one, and I see him, I don't know, in a type of role path, kind of like The Rock, that he's going into those type of movies.
He is definitely moving
like
towards
action,
like Rock.
comedy, stuff like that.
If you look at his path, he's definitely going along that route. John Cena is trying to get there. John Cena is taking a longer route to get there, because he kind of still wants to wrestle sometimes. But
and he's still in like doing like TV shows and stuff like that. So maybe he's okay. But
all right.
Anyway,
so you give it a like?
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and put another like.
Yay.
There was a ding sound right there.
Okay.
So that gives us 2-0 on like to hate.
Okay.
How do you guys write bad stuff about this movie? This movie's an amazing movie so far, right?
Well, we'll see.
All right.
I can't wait for the next.
All right. So that's gonna bring up our next category. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on to directing. Now, this film was directed by Zack Snyder, and we know Zack Snyder has a specific type of film that he does. It's always like a visual spectacle. He likes to do something with a lot of like colors and CGI, and it's kind of like a big production. Obviously, we had the Snyder Cut that just recently come out, and the good positive reviews he got off his version of Justice League. But he's now trying to find his groove again in a different franchise, or with this particular one, his own franchise, because he also wrote, well, not only directed, but also wrote this film as well. So overall, thinking about what Zack Snyder gave us in this film, how he shot it, how he set up the elements of this film, and things that kind of, and I feel this is where we're probably gonna take a turn here. How did you feel about his directing of this film?
I mean, I can see there were a couple of moments that I thought that they were like really twisted and how it was really interesting. For example, when we're starting to talk about the loop, that what if like this is something that is happening constantly.
That was a great part of it. I was like, oh wow.
Think about that, and then later on, like they stopped talking about it. So I feel that there were a couple of moments there that they could like take off the story in a different way. It couldn't like be like mind blowing, but they just let us like no, we're not going to do that. Let's switch it up. So it's like a roller coaster of emotions that you get really excited. Oh no, they're not going to touch on that. You're gonna get no, they're not. So there were like certain things that I like about the story. Like I said, I think that the original plot is really good, and how his idea was actually something innovative, and I think that is how he wants, if he wants to go through that path, that he wants to try different things. I think that he has a good idea overall to do it, but there were a lot of like holes within the story that I'm like, I think that he was all over the place when he wrote it down, and he didn't finish a lot of the stories. Like, I mean, he could have gone pick one of the good things that they were there and just finish that.
We're gonna talk about that too.
No. So to me, I think that it was like in overall brief summary, it was an all over the place movie.
It was an all over the place movie. We'll talk about it in the end, but let me tell you my feelings about his directing. I feel like there is a Snyder cut of Army of the Dead. I feel like he had so much to tell us in this movie, and the 2.5 hours that probably Netflix limited him to wasn't long enough for him to tell us everything that he wanted to do in this film. Now, it has recently come out that there is, this is kind of be a Army of the Dead universe. Netflix is getting ready to come out with a prequel animation film that's going to come out, and then he wants to expand on some of the other characters, or at least this universe as far as the zombies and stuff go, especially when we got to the end, spoiler alert, when we got to the end and Vanderhoff survived, and see what happens in Mexico. Obviously, there's going to be an outbreak in Mexico, but because he set up so many elements and didn't quite pay off on any of them.
I think that he tried to do a lot.
Yeah.
I think that he had a lot of good ideas.
Yes.
And he tried to compile them all together, and like maybe it was like, oh, okay, that this is really good, and I'm going
the
to
heist in a zombie film.
Yes.
Great idea. The whole loop thing that you make mention to now is just basically an Easter egg, because I don't know if that's going to pan out or not. That was a great idea. The team element, yeah, it was such great ideas, but the fact that we added
zombies that we saw at some point, some type of.
We're gonna talk about plot holes. I wrote it down. We're gonna talk about plot holes at the end once we tally up our totals.
So the thing is that I think that he overall, what I think of him so far is that he has really good ideas. It's just that he doesn't still know how to put them in paper in a brief way.
That's what it is. So when Netflix decides to release the Snyder cut of Army of the Dead, which this is the Snyder cut, but when they do the extended cut of Army of the Dead, which 4 hours long, then this will all make sense. But right now, in the format that he gave us, it had so many loose ends and so unfocused towards the end. The beginning, great. Towards the end, it got so unfocused in what they were doing, and like so many things are just kind of going on. I mean, I gotta get a dislike as far as the directing aspect of this film. How'd you feel?
Yeah, same.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put a dislike there. So it's starting to even back out now. We got 2-1 like to dislike. So that's gonna bring us to our fourth category, which is gonna be action scenes.
Okay. Well, I have to say, there were a lot of stuff there going on that I liked. A lot of CGI probably happened there, but I mean, there were it was good. Like the fighting scenes were good.
What's some of the action scenes that stand out to you?
Well, I really like the one when the zombies got into the vault. And they were trying like to, especially with, I'm really bad with names.
Was it the German guy?
The German guy.
That's Dieter.
Yes, when he was like trying like to defend the other guy too. Yeah.
Vanderhoff.
So that fight scene was really good. I really liked that one. The one with the girl with the
headband.
The headband on it. When she was a badass. She had really
that was Mikey Guzman's friend. I forgot to write her name down.
She has a whole like scene just her fighting a bunch of zombies. She looked like a badass. I felt bad that they wanted to kill her at first because she was really good. This other guy really fuck her up. Like I mean the fight scene that she had and everything like I really like that one. I think that actually, to be honest, I think that was one of my favorites.
Okay, I'm trying to think. So the way they did it, because this is a 2.5 hour movie, so you feel like with a 2.5 hour movie, you're gonna get a lot of lulls that happen within it. But because of the way that they did it, anytime you started to they give you an action scene, they give you some dialogue, and then they give you another action scene, and they give you some dialogue. I was really into. Even the opening scene for me was an amazing one where they didn't understand what they were up against, and then this thing just kind of just tears through them. Overall, for as far as like the ones that you said, those are kind of some of my favorite. When she has her little last stand, when Dieter has the last stand, even Dave Bautista and the crew trying to like. When they take off what's her name when they turn the head of his friend and almost love interest, and then they have to start fighting at that point. It's really great. The casino scene when they're fighting inside of the casino. Yeah, these are really great scenes in this film, and I think that's one of Zack Snyder's his specialties. Yes. He knows how to put together a great action scene.
I think that another one that I just thought about it, the one inside the helicopter. Inside the helicopter.
Yeah, when they're fighting in it. When Gita, what was her? Gita was her name or something like that? Yeah. When she disappears and stuff like that. But we're going to get to that in plot holes. So overall, how did you feel about the action scenes in this film?
I liked it. I think that all of them were really like badasses. I even like the Coyote girl. I think that she was really good. Every fight scene, everybody had their chance to be in a fight scene.
Okay, great.
So I think that in overall, all of them, they were really good at it.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give like to the action scenes. That puts us at 3-1. Yes. It seems like this, how do we dislike this film, guys? How do we dislike this film?
What you're about to mention.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move to our final category, which is characters. So when we do characters on You Don't Hate, we like to look at them like in an individual aspect and in a whole. The characters they give us, did we enjoy what they gave us on screen? Do we like their interpretations of that particular character? And was it satisfying? Did we enjoy it?
Yeah.
Did we like the interpretation? And was it overall satisfying for them in that particular role? Okay. So how do you feel about your characters? Who did you like? Who did you didn't like?
Okay, I'm gonna start with I didn't like.
Okay.
Because that is the first thing that comes into my head,
okay.
And one of the reasons why it ruined my movie.
Okay.
From the moment that I met this stupid girl,
Kate,
I knew that she was going to fuck up everything.
All right.
Since that, I'm like, this girl is going to mess everything up. She's going to escape to find this lady. Like and she's going. And in my head, I was like, her father's gonna die. He's going to sacrifice himself for her, and clearly everything happened like that. So for me, and at the end, how it ended, that she messed up the whole thing so bad. They ended up with no money, just a bunch of I think it was $200,000, and it was not even like the initial amount of money that there was. She got everybody fucking killed, and the girl that she went in to save, it was found nowhere at the end of the movie. So I'm like, for her, no. Her character was stupid since day one, and I really, really dislike everything about her.
So I agree with you. I did not like Kate. One of my problems with the characters in this film is, we mentioned earlier, is that they were all stereotypes, right? Yeah. They're all the action movie stereotypes. There's the big strong guy. There's the kick-ass girl. There's the moody girl. There's the tech person. Yeah. The weapons specialist and stuff like that. The strong black guy. They were all the stereotypes, and there was nothing that you didn't see coming. Yeah. Everything was so predictable with the characters. We knew Kate was going to be the reason why this didn't work. We knew that Dave Bautista, Sam, was going to die. Scott, sorry, I said Sam, right? Scott was going to die. I expected Vanderoff to die. That was the only twist that I got. Dieter died and Vanderoff somewhat lived. But because of that, I felt a little disappointed. The setup for them initially, when we're kind of, because they show like a montage of them fighting zombies and how they were so good at it and what they did and how they got chosen for this. I thought it was a great setup because everybody had a skill, but then they just kind of just downgraded directly into stereotypes that, like I said, we knew everything was going to happen. You knew who was all there to be killed. We knew Mikey wasn't going to make it. We knew his friend wasn't going to make it. We knew the evil guy that was sent there by Tanaka wasn't going to make it. Tanaka was the overall, like, you know, evil guy that in every one of these type of films. And it was like, Zack Snyder, for a director of his caliber, you figure he would have done something more interesting. He seemed like he was trying to do something more interesting with the zombies, but he never got there. So my problem is, I did like certain characters, stereotypes or not. I love Dieter, I love Vanderoff. But everybody,
interaction also that got, or the chemistry that did
between those two, yeah. So I love them too, but everybody else was just a damn stereotype. That were like, when we got to them dying, I didn't care that much. I knew they were going to die. The whole Scott thing, I felt bad because we knew Kate was going to screw this up and was going to get him killed. So, and that was my problem with the characters. And I know there might be people that was like, oh, I love this as far as action films go. I love those stereotypes. I love those tropes. But for me, in a Zack Snyder film, I felt like he was going to do something different. And he just did the same stuff anybody would have done in an action film. And, you know, it was just kind of rinse and repeat. So that was my problem with characters. So for me, I'm going to give characters a dislike.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so we're going to go ahead, unfortunately, in our end of our categories on a down note, but it's going to still leave us with a 3 and a 2, which means that technically you don't hate this film. You don't really hate this film. Now, I know in an overall sense, you guys might be thinking it was like, well, putting it that way, it kind of skews it to like it. But there are things to take away from the film that you can still enjoy. You may not like it as much as you like a Terminator 2 or, you know, an Inception or something like that. But for what it was as a popcorn film, it was still enjoyable. Minus all of the things that we're about to get into right now in plot holes.
Okay, give it to me.
So,
those things
final thoughts, because this we normally do final thoughts here, but I know our final thoughts is just going to be plot holes. So let's go ahead and talk about all the plot holes that you remember.
All the things that I remember. Okay, first, now that we were talking about the robot zombies,
right?
What the hell? Why show us a couple of guys there?
Maybe in the animated film for Netflix that comes out, he's gonna go ahead and.
We will understand that a little bit. How the movie kept moving forward? The transition between human to zombie took longer.
There's been some things said about that, is that because he was already bitten, that was the reason why he was able to stand the radiation. Maybe that's what gave him the strength to get out of the vault.
The vault.
Why didn't the zombies outside check the vault?
That happened also with Scott.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he also took a long time for him to be able to say all his goodbyes to his daughter.
You know, you got a Walking Dead this. If you're a major character, you get to survive a little bit before you turn into a zombie.
So that was something that, I mean, I was like, okay.
We never paid off the Gita thing. It was like, did she survive the helicopter crash? We don't know.
She was nowhere to be found during that helicopter fight scene. There was no, we didn't see her, at some point. When that helicopter, crashed, we knew that the pilot was dead. We knew that Scott was there with the daughter. But Gita, what happened with her? She just disappeared in thin air. So, that didn't give us a closure about the story or what happened with them. I think that at some point when they, with the baby, I would have wanted to see a little bit more of that.
So there was a thing in regards to that. So at the very beginning, I noticed. I don't know if you had noticed it, but when the army caravan, they first leave. They kind of do they show you the trucks going that way, but you see a light shoot off from the side. I don't know if you caught it. If you rewatch it, there's 2 lights that show up in the sky and they take off when the trucks take off. And the reason why is because that they're hinting towards, because even the guys inside the truck, they make mention to it, and it was like, it's Area 51. He's like, don't make me say it. Yeah. That this form of zombie is alien origin. That they somehow made Zeus, which is our main zombie person, he was a human alien hybrid, and whatever it is.
I understood the hybrid thing.
Yeah, so whatever it is that made him a zombie was alien in origin, which is why he was able to produce a baby and why the baby looked blue. Which is what's come out in regards to that. It's like the fact that Zack Snyder has to explain his movie after the movie comes out means that you didn't do a good job explaining the movie in the movie.
Yeah. I kind of like figure it out a little bit because that's why the government was around Tanaka with everything. And
right.
The whole idea was to.
That's why they needed it back because of the alien aspect of it.
But okay, so that but good point about that.
My whole thing, and it was how you like to mention that Raiders of the Lost Ark was a pointless movie because it didn't need to take place. Well, they didn't need to go through what they needed to go through. Once they found out the timeline on the bombing was going to change, all they had to do is just leave, let the bombing happen, and then go back in there and get the money. That's all they had to do. And as a matter of fact, even for Tanaka himself too, even if it killed, all they needed was the blood specifically before he said it's worth more the head. But you could have went back in there and found a head of one alpha somewhere and then picked that back up. So it's like it made this movie kind of pointless when you realize the simple fact that if they just let it lay waste and then just go clean up, they would have got everything that they wanted. They would have got the money and they would have got the leftover pieces of the alpha that they needed to go ahead and do this whole project all over again. So another knock on Zack Snyder and how his storytelling went, where he basically made the movie pointless by moving up the timeline of the bomb.
Yeah, that's true. I think that maybe the fact that they couldn't maybe retrieve some of the zombies' DNA or whatever was left because of the bomb, because I don't know if the nuclear thing would
maybe the radiation would have done something. Who knows?
I can
once again, poorly explained.
Yes, I mean, again, too much
too much going on. Too much going on.
I mean, I that one too.
Oh, and then the safe thing. I guess we could say that he was just being villain and he didn't want to give him the safe because it didn't seem like he expected him to survive anyway when he told him that they were non-lethal things to get to the safe, and they were definitely lethal. They were, so it seemed like he was trying to get them killed. So why would he give them the safe to the code? I mean, code to the safe if he didn't expect them to get there anyway. Yeah. So.
So, no, those are the ones that I can't remember at the moment.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up because I don't want to make another 20 minutes to the end of this because we're complaining about the plot holes that we already knew existed in this film. But that, like I said, it's a popcorn film. So, like I said, you can watch it. You can enjoy it for what it is, but don't go in with a lot of high hopes into this film. Just kind of watch it. Let your mind just kind of go blank and then just eat some popcorn and enjoy what you see on screen, the flashing lights. Yeah. So, Carla, I know you hate doing this. Would you like to take us home?
Oh, no. I don't hate it. It's just that I don't do it as well as you do.
Oh, okay.
And see, this is why I don't do it.
Like, subscribe?
Yes, okay. First of all, if you have liked whatever you have seen here and whatever we talk about, I'm not always here. And usually when the ones that I'm not here, there are better videos of. So go into subscribe and check out the other videos that these guys have. Okay. And probably they will be more interesting when I'm not there. No,
trust me. This is a great video that you're watching right now.
And then... you can go to our Patreon page and you can see a lot of cool videos. Most of them are really funny and things that you can go ahead and check there. We have our site to buy some merchandise here that I'm the only one using it because apparently
this is one of our OG shirts. I used to sell this shirt. I took it down. It's like maybe I'll bring it if you guys like this shirt. I'll bring it back. This is one of our top 5 shirts.
In Patreon, you will understand why the story behind it.
Yeah,
so go ahead, go to Patreon and check that on that. And I think that's it.
All right. So for Manny and Art who couldn't make it with us, and Aspen still MIA on the back of a milk carton somewhere, I'm Terrence.
Oh, no, so mean, milk.
I say it all the time.
Oh my God. And I'm Carla.
You guys Hi guys, and today's movie that you don't hate. I forgot about that. The Stop. It's the Rise of Skywalker, right? Yeah, okay, there we go. 3, 2, 1.